Right, so we can start. Hi everyone, I'm Andrea. I'm the events catalyst for the Immersive series, and I will be your co-host for today's gathering. And I am tuning in from Bucharest, Romania. I want to warmly welcome you to our gathering and swiftly introduce our guest for today. Miriam is a certified coach and trainer, and who helps extraordinary people thrive because the world needs those who dare to do things differently and who don't settle for broken systems and outdated thinking. She knows from experience that carving your own path isn't always easy, though, and she has uh, grappled plenty with self-doubt and uncertainty. But through it, all of that, she also developed a powerful pioneering mindset and skills to explore new directions and confidently find your way off the beaten track, using both your brain and your body. Now, she's here to share these modern day pioneering powers with you so we can actively shape a better future for ourselves and for others. Thank you for being here, and over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Andrea. It's very nice to be here. Thank you for the invitation to have me host here. And thank you, everybody, for joining this session where we are going to find a sense of purpose. I'm calling in from Amsterdam, the Netherlands, and I saw that you all are distributed over the planet. I see Germany, I see England, I see Canada. So welcome. Um, I already shared this message earlier, just for the people that joined in the last minute. Do a little check of your space around you so that you're comfortable for the coming hour without any distractions, because we're gonna tune into our body, into our senses, and then it's nice if you don't get distracted by whatever is going on around you. And if it's possible, I would really appreciate it if you can turn your camera on, because then I can see from your faces how things are going and if I need to adjust anything along the way. And when I'm looking at black boxes, that's a little harder, obviously. And I think it's also nice to see who's here with you as a fellow explorer for today. So Andrea already introduced me. These days, I'm a coach and I'm a trainer, but that's not where I was, say, 15 years ago. 15 years ago, I was running a research lab in physics. So I was climbing the academic career ladder to the position of assistant professor. And things were going really well, actually. So I was getting all the grant money I needed. I was doing exciting experiments, publishing in really prestigious journals, and even winning prizes for it. And still, it felt a bit unfulfilling at the end of the day. I was working pretty much 7 days a week, didn't have a lot of time for other interests. And it also started to feel more and more like a really expensive hobby because I was following my curiosity, but it wasn't so clear how this was contributing to the world in the end. So things started to feel not right anymore. And then around the same time, I started to dance. So before I was pretty much a walking stick figure, very stiff. And I started to dance, and I noticed that the body is not just a brain taxi. So it's not just there to transport your brain around. But as I started to move, it really changed how I was feeling, how I was thinking. And I started to realize that it gave me much more clarity around my likes and dislikes, and also what felt meaningful to me. While in the past, I sometimes even found it hard to decide what I felt like for dinner. That is how disembodied I was back then. I couldn't even feel what I wanted to eat. Um, so with that realization, I started to follow my gut more. So instead of only using this thinking brain, which I still use very much, I also started to listen more to my gut feeling and follow my curiosity, following what sparked joy in me. And this really changed everything for me. So in the past 15 years, I have changed basically all of my relationships, like my romantic relationship, but also friends. I've changed my career. And now it all feels much more aligned with who I am. and also what I believe in, because I think in the end, we are at our best and we create a better world when we can all be ourselves, not trying to fit into some kind of prescribed system, and contribute in our own way. So that's what I would like to explore with you today. What is your sense of purpose? How can you contribute in your own way to the world, whether that's something small or something big, but to get a glimpse of what's important to you. And this, after my story, it won't come as a surprise that we will use embodied exercises for this, because the body is very important in this. So the outline for today's session, what I'm planning to do with you so that you have an idea, I will put it in the chat. I will first take about 20 minutes where we will do these embodied exercises for yourself. So just for your own reflection and exploration. And after each exercise, there will be a little time to take some notes. And then after we have done these 20 minutes, I like to put you together into breakout rooms to also share with each other so that you can hear what came up and help each other. And in the exercises, I will sometimes guide you into a particular pose, and this should not be physically challenging. So make it comfortable for yourself. So if I ask you to do something with your arms and you say like, oh, my right shoulder is injured, I cannot do it, then please adjust it. And for most of these things, I recommend doing it standing up. But if you prefer to sit down, then that's also okay. So then make your own modifications to sort of get the quality of the pose. The idea is that you sort of feel the quality of it, and you don't need to be exact in how you copy it. It's more important to be comfortable. So it's not a yoga stretching class. And then to make sure that you can really drop everything that's going on in your head and fully focus on the sensations of the embodiment. I will give you a handout at the end, which has a description of these exercises with the questions that I ask with it, so that you can also reflect back on it or do it for yourself, so that you are not continuously thinking like, oh, I want to write this down, otherwise I forget. So my invitation is to drop it all for now and then trust that at the end you will have all that you need. Are there any questions about this, or is everybody okay to roll? Can I see a thumbs up if this was clear? I think, yeah, most people look happy. Yeah, then I think everybody is muted already. I'd like to ask Andrea to keep it that way so that we really have our time for ourselves. And then I invite you to stand up if that's available for you. To get into this, I will turn on my own view so that I know what I'm showing to you. And then, when we are looking for purpose, meaning, there's often this tendency to either to start to think really hard. What is it that I'm doing? What should I be doing? Where should I be going? Where are the opportunities? And to start looking outside for answers. So what is it that other people are doing? Where do I fit in? And that's what I want to move away from for this session. With the idea that if you want to find a sense of purpose, you need to feel. So you need to feel how you feel about things. What is important to you before you start looking outside? So I like to start by waking up the body a little bit. You can give it a shake to shake off what you collected during the day so far, whether it's early or late where you are. You can raise the shoulders, drop them, dropping whatever weight you're carrying there. Or maybe rubbing it off as if you're coming from the beach. You have the sand still sticking to your skin. So the arms, your chest, and your And your legs. Making yourself comfortable. And as you calm down a little bit, really feeling the feet on the floor or your butt on the chair. And really dropping the weight there. So feeling what the imprint would be if you were to be on wet sand. And can you make this imprint a little bit larger? By really dropping your weight, relaxing the belly, relaxing your jaw. And then breathing in, letting your belly pop out, so as if a balloon is inflating. And as you breathe out, it can be nice to just sigh, but just what feels comfortable for you. Doing this 2 more times. And then I'd like to guide you into a pose that will help you to take a look inside before we start looking outside. Because what makes life meaningful to you really is a very personal thing. It's different for everybody. And this has to do with the path that you have walked through life, the experiences that you had, your interests, your talents. So that's where we will start searching first. And for this, I invite you to place your feet together so that your big toes are touching and your heels are slightly apart. And then you can either place your hands in a prayer sign in front of your chest, or if that feels more comfortable, you can place them on your heart and your belly. Keeping the elbows close and tipping your head slightly forward, closing your eyes so that you're really going inward. And take a moment to breathe here and to feel here what this pose feels like. Bringing your attention inward. And then without thinking too much about it, letting the answers bubble up as I ask you a couple of questions. What do you believe in? What is true for you in life? And what makes you come alive? Small things, big things. What makes you come alive? And what is inside you that wants to come out? It may sound abstract, but just letting the answers bubble up, your first association. What is inside you that wants to come out? You can stay here for another minute or so to reflect on these questions, and then if you feel like it, take a couple of notes before we move on to the next step. And then slowly coming back for the next step, dropping your pen, dropping the thoughts. And then again, it's best if you can do it standing. It's also okay if you do it seated, but then you may want to roll your chair a bit back from the computer screen so that you have space in front of you. Because what we just did was tuning into your inner compass to connect to what's important to you so that you don't get lost so quickly in all the options that are out there and the opinions of other people, so that you really have this anchor inside of yourself. But then in the end, basically all the research shows that meaning comes from helping others. So you also need to connect to others and what the world needs. And this doesn't need to be, a big world-changing thing. You don't need to solve the climate crisis, for instance. It could be helping your neighbor with something or helping someone else with one of your strengths. It's really about making a difference in the world so that it's not the same as it would be without you. That's what I like to explore next with another pose. And for this, I invite you to place your feet hip width apart or on the chair, not to have your legs crossed. And then taking a comfortable step forward with one of your feet, it doesn't matter which one. You can also shift your weight slightly forward on the chair. And then initially placing your hands on your heart to connect again to yourself. And then from there, extending out your arms in front of you as if you are carrying a tray with delightful bites for someone to take, with your palms up, chest forward, arms forward, making it comfortable for yourself. And then again, answering without overthinking it. What do you have to offer? What is your unique gift? And how can you help with this? Maybe you can picture the people in front of you. How can you help with what you have to offer? Where are you needed with what you have to offer? What can you be in service to? Again, you can stay here for a bit for as long as it feels comfortable. And if it feels heavy, if it feels like maybe at the moment you don't have a lot to give because your plate is already full or you're tired, then you could also imagine someone's hand on your back or under your arms and ask yourself the question, what is it that you would like to receive? What support do you need? So make this your own exploration to feel into this pose. What do you have to offer, or what support do you need if you don't have a lot to give right now? And when you feel ready, you can take a few notes again. And then slowly coming back for the next step in our exploration. Again, standing up if that's available for you. Because now you may have some first ideas of what you have to offer and who you could help with this. And then the idea is that your purpose will unfold further in a dialogue with the world so that you really start to explore what the world needs, where it would match with what you have to offer. The Japanese have a term for this, which is ikigai. It's the reason for being, which is basically where your unique strengths overlap with what the world needs. And to figure that one out, you have to get into action and try things out because in your mind you can come up with all sorts of things, but in the end you will have to test it in practice. That's what we will be exploring in this step to get some ideas of how you could get into action with this, with what you have just found so far. And for this, I first invite you to place your hands on your heart and your belly again to connect again with what really matters to you. You could close your eyes for a moment there. And asking yourself, what are you already doing that could be a seed for a more meaningful future? What is already aligned with what gives you meaning? And then for the next step, I will turn around. You can stay the same way you are. I just want you to be able to see what I'm doing. Because from here, I again take a step forward, or you shift your weight forward on the chair. Slightly bigger step this time. Your weight is really forward. And then extending the arm at the belly button forward at the same height as the belly button, and the other arm at the height of your heart, and your hands are above each other. And you really have your gaze forward, so your eyes are open. You're looking over the tips of your fingers in the direction where you're going. And again, letting the answer bubble up. What small step can you take this week to align your life with what you have discovered so far? What could be a small step in that direction? And what will you focus on next? And the risk is that we are then becoming very serious about this and it becomes very heavy. So let's also have some fun with this by going on one of your legs, balancing, and putting your arms out as if you're in an airplane, putting a smile on your face, and asking yourself, how can you have fun with this? What can you take less seriously here? And what would you do if money weren't a factor? How would you play with that? And again, doing this for as long as feels good to you, and then taking a moment to take some notes before we wrap up this part of the journey. Okay. So dropping the pen, coming back to the screen. And this was the embodied exploration for yourself. And as I mentioned along the way, there's a ton of research that shows that we find meaning when we are helping others. In my notes that I will share at the end, I have a reference to a book that you could read about it. It's actually a nice, easy read. And that's also what I want to offer to you in this next step, to get together in trios in the breakout rooms. Maybe there's a couple, maybe there's a quartet. Um, but there should be about three of you in a breakout room. And to take turns where one person asks for anything they would like from the others. So it could be reflecting together on what you found. It could be asking for ideas. It could be asking for resources, connections, whatever you would like as an input to find your sense of purpose. And after you share that, what you are looking for, the others can share anything that might be of interest. So there's no format, no restrictions, just whatever bubbles up for you, you can share. And then after 6 minutes, you go to the next person. So that there's 3 rounds of 6 minutes where everybody gets to ask for what they want. And I personally always like it when I can see who I'm talking to. So I really encourage you to turn your camera on in the breakout rooms. It also won't be visible in the recording if that's of any concern to you. So please be kind with each other and find some meaning together. Um, Andrea, would you like to open the breakout rooms for
Yeah,
that?
yeah. I'm opening them, right? I already prepared them, so we will probably have 3 breakout rooms with 3 people each.
Lovely. Is this clear for everybody? Thumbs up.
Oh, wait a
Cool. Let's
second.
roll.
It seems that I have to assign them manually.
Okay.
Okay. I think I'll just put a pause on the recording now.
Cool.
So,
So they are back in a few secs.
yep. Right.
Yay.
think everyone is back. Hello. Oh, we have other people on camera. I like that.
Yeah, welcome back, everybody. Nice to see all of your faces. We had one group who came back a little earlier. They won the prize for solving the meaning of life in the shortest time possible. I will share some links in the chat to the document with the exercises and some other information that you might like. Because then you know how you can find me and learn more about what I'm doing, as I'm, yeah, coaching people when they venture off the beaten track to find their own way in life. And I would like to use the rest of the time to just hear from a few of you what came up, what you're taking away from the session. If you want to, put a few words to that, it would be very welcome. And it's also okay to share in the chat if you feel more comfortable with that. So whoever wants to jump in, just raise your hand and you get the microphone. Yep, Lisa.
So I'll kick us off. I actually enjoy a lot of the embodiment part because it helped me really to disconnect with the digital world and come back to my body. So that was amazing. And taking note was also very good because we use some of the notes part to share in our smaller groups. We didn't necessarily ask a specific help from others, but we still got the time to share what we thought, our current challenge, and got some tips and very good recommendations from other. That was great. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, thank you for sharing that. Great to hear that you could help each other with some useful recommendations, because I'm pretty sure you all found your own unique things. Is there anybody else who wants to share?
in our group, we talked a lot about joy and to like trying to follow joy and how that's where like the meaning is and the aliveness.
Yeah.
That was nice.
Was that what you found together, that where the joy is also where the meaning is? Is that what you're saying?
I think so. Guys,
Yeah.
correct me
Well, I mean,
or back me up.
I was
Whichever.
talking about how, for me, there's, so much negativity, especially towards queer, trans people in general, especially in the US. And a lot of people are nervous and scared, and they're getting caught up in that fear. And I'm saying, I'm here to celebrate queer and trans joy. I'm here to find joy in what I'm doing in my community. And tonight I'm going to a drag show. I'm just living my best life. And that's where I'm finding purpose and celebrating that with other people and sharing that with other people. Don't get caught up in the fear, give
Yeah.
yourself some joy. Otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah. Thank you. I can resonate with that. This is my sign for I resonate with what you say. There can be a bit of reactivity in the fear, right? It's responding to what's happening in the world and then maybe contracting around that. And the joy is more from the inside out. What is it that you want to celebrate in the world? So I can relate to that, yes. And I think joy and curiosity are great components of your inner compass, which doesn't mean that it's easy to always follow that inner compass. It's not always joyful, but I think they are a great compass for where you want to be heading. Creating the life you want for yourself and for others. Yeah. Anybody else who would like to share a bit?
I'm happy to share what our group talked about, just really briefly. So we again didn't have any specific questions for one another, but we did have a really nice chat about like each of us backgrounds and how we found the activities and things. So three things that came out of that were that I think it was Camilla who said that finding passion and purpose is one of her passion and purposes. So that kind of like self-reflecting and that kind of journey finding is something that helps keep her going and is part of her goals. Janet also said that currently trying to find roles within a new country that they've recently relocated back to and trying to match passions that they've gained in the, I think 13 years was it you said that you've been in the UK, and hoping that a new role can kind of match those passions and keep the momentum going with that. And then for me, it was looking at like looking inward at myself to kind of think what I want my life next steps to be to kind of match those to what my professional next steps could or should be. So yeah, hopefully that's a okay summary.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. So you're talking a lot about matching and alignment and also the personal and the professional.
Yeah, I think so. We had quite a nice
Yeah.
reflective conversation. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, nice. And what I found from my own experiences, initially for me, the personal and professional were like two separate boxes. Like, okay, so this is what I do professionally as a assistant professor in a research lab, and then personally in my private life, I started to dance and do all these other things, and it was like two different worlds. And now they have become one because I'm still doing a lot of research and sense making, but I use embodiment to do it. So it's almost as if they became more and more intertwined. And I think to me that makes sense because I always see it as, you're one person and you take yourself everywhere. So it's not like you're a different person in this box than in that box. So I also see that as a sign that I'm, on the right path for me, that everything starts to come together and make sense instead of having to do this compartmentalized life. Let's also see what Sam shared in the chat. So she says she started off thinking about my purpose, and I think I was a bit unclear and unsure on what I could consider my purpose to be, or even what I believed in. Then I moved into the group, and I realized my purpose is to be a rebel, to consider this a strength, and that it comes from a good place, and to enable others to challenge the process. Yay, love that. Always good to have rebels in the house because they question the status quo, and that opens up thinking space for everybody else and being space. Great, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, so we are at the top of the hour. If there's someone who wants to close it off with a final word, then please feel free. And otherwise, I don't know how Andrea usually closes this, but I would like to invite you to open your mic to say farewell in your mother tongue. But maybe Andrea has another idea about that. I don't know. No? Okay, so then,
Okay, I just want
yeah.
to say that first of all, thank you to everyone who attended, and feel free to, leave us a feedback. You'll be receiving like an email, a feedback email via Luma, and if you feel like it, you can give feedback for this session through either an emoji, which is the simpler way, or just a comment, and that's it from me. Like from the logistical side of things.
Yes. Thank you. I would love any feedback because that helps me improve the experience in any future sessions. This is the first time I did this one, so any feedback is really appreciated. Yeah, so feel free to open your mic and say farewell in your mother tongue, and then I hope to see you elsewhere sometime.
Thank you. Bye.
Tot ziens.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Bye bye.